I am ready for success. I am success. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the SOS Show with James Lott Jr. and I am ready for success because I am success. I am ready. You guys, it's live from Pittsburgh. That's right. And it is June 20th, 2017. And that's a piece of my new single, I Am Ready. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Amazon Music. You can find it everywhere where fine music is sold, I guess. So it's there, and I'm very proud of it. Anyway, I have a great guest. I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When I say I'm live in Pittsburgh, I really am. I'm in Troy Hill area, which is the north side of Pittsburgh, in my home here. And I love the site. It's changing. It's growing. It's moving to other directions. I'm near Spring Garden. I'm near the Mexican War Street districts. It's a great area that's totally changing, and I'm so happy to be over here. And my guest, let me read who she is, because this is very impressive, and she's here in Pittsburgh. Okay, a member of NAPO Pittsburgh, Golden Circle member of a place I love, the Institute of Challenging Disorganization. I love the ICD people. She's a certified professional organizer. She has certificates in time management and productivity, CD client administration, understanding the needs of student CD clients. And were you or are you the vice president of NAPO Pittsburgh?
I was.
She was.
I was, and now I am the president of NAPO Pittsburgh.
Oh, hello. Oh my God, I didn't even get that part on here. And she's also the founder of Organization Lane LLC. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly I'm in the presence of greatness. Miss Sandra Lane. Oh, Miss Sandra.
You're giving me way too much credit, James.
No,
Thank you so
girl.
much. It's nice to be with you.
No. So you're the president. Okay, well, congratulations. I'm talking to the president of NAPO Pittsburgh. I did not realize that part.
Well, it's fairly new. We just had our voting in May, and it took effect in June. So I'm still a newbie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. So as I do this, two things. One, when I say live, you guys, that means I have a portable studio I brought with me on the road, and I've already done 2 episodes last week from Pittsburgh and 2 from Ohio, from Columbus, Ohio, with 4 wonderful NAPO members. It was such a great time. I talked to Vicky Delacula, and I probably said her name wrong, last name wrong. Dorothy Clear. Christy, oh my God, the names. I talked to 4 wonderful people. I talked to 4 wonderful people. You can find them on iTunes and everything. And if there's a train goes by, you're going to hear it. If a bird chirps loud, you're going to hear it. These are unedited, and these are just like conversations that I have on the road with people who are doing such great work, like Miss Sandra. And before I start doing all that, I always do my thanks and gratitude. So I believe in giving thanks, and I believe that you should live in gratitude every day for what you have and what you're accomplishing and just waking up in the morning, I'm just thankful for gratitude. So I want to give a thanks and gratitude to the Ohio Hardys who did a fan event for me. My first ever fan event this last weekend on Saturday. We're at a place called Der Dutchman in Plain City, Ohio, and 51 Hardys came out to see me. And I am humbled by the experience. They treated me like royalty. They bought my books. I did all these autographs and pictures, and I'm still living on the high of just their love and support. The ladies who threw the party did such a great job. And again, I feel like we're just a big community. We're all in this together, and I just live in gratitude for them. And I will never forget. You never forget your first, they always say. But I will never forget what they did for me, and I'm just still on that. I also want to give it thanks and gratitude, because it doesn't matter how big or small, to Utz potato chips. We don't get Utz in Los Angeles. Utz is so good. If you don't know what Utz is, if you go to the Midwest or back east, they have them. They're so good. And I want to give a shout out to Giant Eagle, which has been giving me my tasty cakes. They've been giving me all the food that I like here, all my Bob Evans food. in the frozen section aisle. I want to thank Giant Eagle for their being in business. That's what thanks to gratitude. That's what thanks to gratitude. You ever think you'd be thankful and have any gratitude towards Miss Sandra?
I do, actually. I would love to thank God for the ebbs and flows in my business, because I find that when things are a little slow, he sort of puts that there for a reason and gives me pause to focus on something that he knows I need to focus on. I never worry about whether or not the business is going to come back, because it always does. So I'd like to thank God.
Yeah, God's good. And you know, it's funny. I spoke to God back in February, and made kind of my intentions known. I'll tell you something. It works. It totally works. My last 4 months have been incredible, and I'll tell you, once I started putting trust in Him and doing the work, you know, of course, it's working. So I live in gratitude for that too. It does work.
It does.
It does.
Yes.
And in our business especially, it does ebb and flow. That's just how it goes. I mean, we're in a personal services business.
That's right. And it's when you have that slow time, it's a time that's not necessarily work with a client, but it's not really slow at all. You are working towards the next client and marketing or networking or writing your next lecture or another chapter in your book. So there's always reasons that those slow times are put in place.
I'm glad you said that, because that's true in our business as entrepreneurs. And I'm saying this, I've said this so many times on my show, and I'll continue to say it 800 million, and I know this is not real numbers, 800 gajillion times. You are a business. If you are a professional organizer or a productivity coach, whatever words you want to use for yourself, you are a business. And you should treat yourself in that manner, which means you'll always have things to do. So when it's slow, don't panic, don't get upset, don't fall apart. It's a chance, like she just said, to work on your business, basically. Maybe it's time for you to look at your business on some level and say, maybe I need to change a few things or tweak a few things. Maybe it's time for you to take an overhaul and look at yourself. Maybe it's time to work on that project you've always wanted to work on that will increase your business. Correct, Sandra?
Exactly. Yeah. It's always an opportunity to really examine your brand, what you're doing, what you can do different. Meet with people. There's so much that can be gleaned from people that cross your path, that I think that those relationships that you build while you're networking and making new friends, essentially, can also help your business. You never know. You might just get one morsel of information from a one-on-one with someone that just might be a pivotal point in turning your business around or giving you something new that you never thought of.
So true, because I've had clients, I say this all the time too in my shows, I learn from my clients. I don't know everything in the whole world. I mean, when the education stops happening, then I'll be dead. Hopefully the education will continue as long as I'm alive. And many of my clients, I'll learn because every client's different. Everybody's unique. Everybody has different things. It's like a puzzle, and things come out. You're like, oh. Sometimes I've had clients, we figured something out that was kind of new to me, that became a new add-on service to my business, or was a good blog post I was able to write. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's things that can happen along the way that you go, oh, this is something I can actually further and use in my business.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Now, something historic kind of happened, which is kind of, I usually don't get this kind of news on my shows like this, and this is kind of a great thing. Yesterday, NAPO announced that they had a DBA change of the name. So
right.
it's to National, make sure I say this correctly, National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. So it'll still be NAPO.
Go ahead. Yeah, it'll still be NAPO. It's going to take a little getting used to, but I'm sure it'll roll off the tongue, just as National Association of Professional Organizers did for us. But yeah.
What do you think about that? What is your thoughts on that?
You know what? I have been using the term productivity in my business for probably the last 5 years, because I did see that is a term that speaks to people, particularly in the business industry.
Yes.
And it speaks volumes to them. They are all about their bottom line, and work with us as organizers is considered an investment. And if productivity is improved, then the investment is worth it. And that also, I think, translates well to residential work because we all want to be more productive. So I think the change is good. I do. I know that there was a lot of divisive views in terms of the change, but I believe that it's going to be a positive one.
I think, well, anytime there's a change, you know, and we're still a young industry. I mean, we're like, 35 years old, basically. You know, 30, so I would say we're not even at middle age yet. You know, I mean, I'm older than the business. But like, you know, it's we're still kind of in the, your 30s, you're learning stuff. I always feel like anytime there's a change, people will, there's some folks like things to stay the way they are. They're just natural creatures of habit, and this is how it's always been done. So you just kind of, but change is inevitable. And I feel like for me, when I heard this change, it was like, yes, our industry is changing. It's becoming more well known, hopefully in part to me, my radio show and stuff that I do, but like it's becoming more well known. And terminology changes in all professions. It changes, evolves. And I noticed in your business you do use productivity in there. And I've met some people who consider themselves productivity specialists or productivity coaches. I mean, that word is used. And I thought, it does work.
Yes, in fact, it's my tagline. My company name, Organization Lane, getting you on the road to productivity.
You go, girl. See, you have a last name like me. Our last names lend themselves, because my life coaching business is called A Lot of Help. And people love that. Yeah. It's just kind of, we have those last names. They just can work all kind of stuff. I like that. And I always say, stay in your own lane. I always say it all the time in my business. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. So it's like just one of those kind of things. But no, I think that language evolves and it changes, and I'm glad to see that our business is changing. You see, I remember when it first started, it was like a bunch of housewives who started, wanting to do homemaking, and it's changed. It's evolved from that now. We're international. We're everywhere, and we do so many different things. Like you said, you work with ICD, and there's things that there's so many different parts to this business, and so many components. And I feel like this is a good change in that direction of making us even a stronger, more, there's a word for it, kind of unit that just makes people feel like it's very professional.
Correct. And it has not abandoned its roots.
Yes.
We still have, professional organizer or organizing professionals is still in the title.
Yeah, I agree. So it's still in there. We're still talking that. We're still in there. No one's trying to abandon that completely. But I thought it's just kind of funny that as I'm having you on the show, this happens. I'm like, I actually got some news to talk about in there. I also want to ask you, because I asked my other two guests who were on the show. It was Christy Lingo. I couldn't get her name out. Christy Lingo I talked to. And Ellen Limes. Ellen Limes was the fourth person I talked to. So how was it hosting the NAPO conference this year for you guys? For you, how was it this year?
Yeah, it was fun. We loved having everybody here. We wish we could have everybody for a few more days. There's so many wonderful things, well, as you know, to see in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is turning into quite a foodie town. It would have been nice for people to have more time to really experiment with some of the many wonderful restaurant offerings that we have here. But we loved having everyone here, and it was, of course, very convenient for us as NAPO Pittsburgh chapter members. Yeah, we certainly hope everyone had a nice time when they were here.
Everything I've heard so far has been great. I unfortunately, ironically, I couldn't come, and I was so upset because I'm like, I have a home in Pittsburgh. I can just stay at my house. I love Pittsburgh, and I had to. My other life got in the way. I was doing it was my grandson's 18th birthday and the daytime memories, and I was co-hosting that, so I couldn't. My other life got in the way, but I was like so proud that Pittsburgh, even though I wasn't here, I was so proud that Pittsburgh was the host city. Because I love Pittsburgh. I have such an affection for Pittsburgh, so I'm glad it was able to happen here.
Yes, same here. I'm not originally from here myself. I'm a Jersey girl, and I moved here when I got married, and I absolutely love the city and would never go back. It has so many wonderful things here that New Jersey and New York area has, but on a smaller scale, but it seems friendlier to me. And I just actually got back from New Jersey this weekend, and I really feel stressed from driving on the roads out there.
Yes.
So it's very intense. And I know I used to be one of those drivers. You have to be. Otherwise, you just get pushed off to the shoulder.
That's true.
But it's really eye-opening when you are not doing it for a while. You get those defensive driving skills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it is, it's nice to be back home. I do love Pittsburgh, and I call it home now.
So now you are vice president. Now you are newly president-elect of the chapter. What is your kind of platform in terms of moving NAPO Pittsburgh along in 2017, 18?
Well, first of all, I just want to give a huge shout out to my chapter. I absolutely love our chapter and our members. We are a harmonious, very collaborative, loving group that really enjoys being together. And I think we are very unique in that way, and I absolutely am so proud to be president of this group. In terms of our platform, we are looking to do what I think a lot of chapters do, and that is try to create an awareness that our industry exists, and do so not only individually as members in our own social media circles and work circles and networking circles, but also as a chapter. And we plan on hosting an event in January for Go Month that was very successful last year for us. We're going to do it again, and it's basically going to be an organizing panel that we open up to the entire local community, and we invite all of our associate members to have a vendor booth, and it's a full morning affair with breakfast and a couple of different panels, and it's a nice event to just get the community coming in to see who we are and what we do and create that awareness that we're looking for.
I will talk to you offline, off mic, because usually I'm here in January. I usually come here December, January, stay for like a month. I would love to get, if you would have me or want me, I'd love to get involved somehow.
I would love that.
So we'll talk.
We already have the date, James. Yeah, we already have the date, so let's chat about it. That would be wonderful.
Seriously, I'd love to see what we can figure out what I can do there for you, or what can. I mean, I can interview people, I can do show. I mean, whatever. We can figure something out so that it gets more exposure. And I would. I'm usually here every end of December to like end of January. I'm always here, so it's kind of funny that you're doing it.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's and amusing at the same time, because that's usually when people leave Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
So welcome. We'll take you.
Okay, so we'll talk. We'll totally talk. I will definitely be here, so we will talk and see if we can work out. That's perfect. Let's see, learn something new. But that's good. So yes, you want to get more awareness. I'm the same. Obviously, that's why I have a radio show. I mean, I want to get more awareness to that this is a real live business. I say this over and again on my shows too. This is not an elective business. This business is as important as plumbing, law, teachers. I mean, I always feel like this is the only business that everybody needs, so to speak. Maybe medical is another one, but like everyone could use an organizer of some sort in any form.
That's right.
Right?
I agree. I absolutely agree, because it's not only the physical clutter that we may have in our lives, it's the mental clutter. There are lots of folks that may have their ducks in a row in terms of the excess physical items they have in their house, but they are overcommitting themselves, or they just can't keep track of all of their kids' activities. They don't have a filing system in place and just can't keep that order there for themselves. So yes, and I always like to tell people that so long as that we live in a society that continues to acquire, we will be busy.
That's true, girl. That is so true.
Because if people keep buying stuff, they will want us to help them find a place to put it.
That's so true. And also, I say too, the baby boomers, my generation, we're all getting older. We've acquired a lot of stuff. Especially those of us, back in the 80s and 90s, we were told to buy. You bought everything. I mean, it was stuff. We'll be busy as all of us get into our older twilight years, and we're needing to excavate and downsize. There's business for everybody, basically. I mean, there's room for everyone. There's business going on for everybody. We're not going to wither away as a business because people have stuff. Especially in America, people have stuff.
Correct. And I also think it's an important business. I like to refer to it as almost a ministry, because people are just stuck. Some folks just get so stuck they are paralyzed and can't move forward and need to. For example, in the case of downsizing, and you're working against a deadline, and so critically important to have someone that has been there and can help you see the forest through the trees and get you to the finish line.
That's true. Let's talk about business, because that's another area people need help in a lot of times, because talk about deadlines and timelines and time management. So there's a lot that goes on into productivity at work, workplace productivity. And so that's one of your specialties. And what I think is interesting about you is that also you have certifications. You work with, ICD for, conscious organization, and there's different things that go on with that too. And a lot of those folks work, obviously. Some people have ADHD or ADD and have, other challenges. So how did you fall into this section of the business?
How did I fall into it?
Or did you seek it out? Is it something you wanted to do, workplace productivity and this organization? Something that let me rephrase that. So that was it a calling? Did you seek it out? Did you fall into it? How did it come to your orbit? That's my question.
Well, it seems like a natural order to be able to provide services for folks that are in business, whether it is a corporation, a small business, or a home-based business. And it felt right to be able to have the necessary skill sets to point people in the right direction when it comes to being productive in their workspace. And quite honestly, just managing a household for some folks is work.
No, it is.
That is a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of parallels between, running a household and running a business. And there's a lot of things that actually are very similar in terms of tips that I give.
I agree. I call a lot of stay-at-home moms house managers. I change the names. You guys are running, because you're running the house, the kids, their appointments. My daughter has 3 kids, and she's always busy. But you guys still go. They each have their own games, and they each have to have certain things signed at school. And make sure dinner's there, and who eats breakfast. It's a lot that goes on. Laundry. There's a lot that goes on, and it is a business. I totally agree with that. So let's start with you mentioned 3 different kinds of business. Let's start with home-based businesses. What are some tips you give for that? Because that's a very unique thing. You're at home, where it can be easily distracted. So what are some of your tips about that?
Right. Well, distractions has got to be the top of the list when it comes to actually being productive in your workday, and that's true for even if you're working in a corporate office or a cubicle. But when you're at home, you have some added distractions, like you've got chores that you could be doing, or a kid knocking on your office door. So dealing with distractions is a real challenge for a lot of those folks. And I think the first step is to recognize what they are. And they're different for everybody. But some of the most common ones are anything that has to do with a screen, whether it's a phone, a computer, a TV. That is typical. I think it's very typical. And the best way to deal with that distraction is to simply turn it off. If it has an on and off button, turn it off, or at least turn off the notifications so that you are not interrupted. Your rhythm of work can get interrupted even if you don't answer or look at the text. If you just hear that ping or that vibration, that alone can stop your brain from its flow. And then it could take you as much as 20 minutes to get that back started again. I like to use the analogy of those old crank cars, back in the 20s, where you had to crank the engine.
Yeah.
You put it at a complete stop when you hear that notification ping or you get interrupted. And if you can just put those on pause, and it doesn't have to be all day while you're working. That's completely unreasonable. But consider using a timer, which is another tool I like to recommend. Like, for example, the time timer for 30-minute, 45-minute blocks of time. And during that time, turn off those notifications so that you can stay focused and have that rhythm that you need to get your work done. Some other distractions might be your kids knocking on your door, or a fellow coworker coming in and interrupting you in your cubicle because they're trying to procrastinate and not do their work. or people gossiping that just want to hear about maybe what happened over the weekend. And that's hard to deal with because we're talking about a relationship issue there. We don't want to offend anyone,
That's true.
anybody by putting them off. But it really boils down to setting up a system of sticking with what you planned on doing and just kindly letting that person know that you were in the middle of work, but you'd love to catch up. Can we grab lunch together? Or put a note on your door, put a note on the back of your chair. Another little trick I like to share is put earbuds in your ear. If you're sitting in a cubicle in an office and you've got earbuds in your ear, for some reason people will not approach you. Whether you have music playing or not, they will avoid you because they don't want to interrupt you. Meanwhile, you're working either way. Now, when it comes to a child knocking on your door and they need you, I think it's important to address what their needs may be and see if you can, in fact, put them off. But creating a discipline of when mommy's door is closed, what I used to say is, if there isn't any blood, please don't come knocking.
Yes, right.
And hopefully, and they can have a timer too. When mommy's timer goes off, that's when you know we can, have a snack together or play a game together. But if you have the intention of doing certain things that are on your to-do list or agenda, dealing with those distractions is absolutely paramount to being productive during the day. You really need to kind of reel those in and get a handle on how to settle those down so that you can focus on your work.
I got 2 questions. Okay, 1.
Sure.
Because we have timers on our phones. So you suggest get an actual timer. You're like, get an actual timer, go to a 99-cent store, grab a timer, and don't use the one on the phone, right? Because that'll keep distracting you, right?
Well, you can use the timer on your phone. I actually have a time timer app on my phone, but I think it's important that you turn off the other notifications or put your phone, in a silent mode so that those other notifications are not interrupting you.
Okay.
You can have your timer running, but then turn off the notifications for everything else. I think in the end, depending on how many apps you have, that you've got notifications where you use notifications, I think it's probably easier to just get yourself a time timer.
I agree with that. I have an hourglass too. Okay, here's the other thing. Okay, so I think I had another question. Is interesting because you talk about the kids coming. Okay, so when should you also figure out when you're scheduling your day, especially if you're a home-based business, if you want to do projects, probably not do them around the time the kids need naps or they have us, or this is when they need you to do that. Like, because sometimes some kids have routines at certain times, especially young kids. Should you try to figure that out first, and so that can kind of help you a little bit with the not being bothered so much?
Absolutely. I like to recommend folks, no matter where the platform is, whether it's work in an office or at home, that you set your intentions and your agenda the night before and plan it out based on, in the case of your kids or your calendar. If you've got meetings in the morning or in the afternoon, then you need to sort of work around what's on your calendar or what's already scheduled in your day that you don't really have control over. And then that's when you can create your agenda or your to-do list.
Because my thought is like, okay, in the morning, so-and-so, the kids still sleep till 9, let's say sleep till 9. So from 7 to 9, I may do a major project then, or do all my emails, so I clear all my emails by then. So when they wake up, I'll be in a good spot. Because I would hate to be in a major project and, it's time to make their lunch, or it's time to have their little play mode. I would hate to have that happen, I guess. I was thinking about, yeah.
Exactly. No, that's exactly how it should be mapped out. I mean, that's certainly making the best use of your time without, disrupting other members in the household. And if that's the case, if you get more work done in your workplace before everybody starts flowing into the office, then go early to work.
So that was me. I did that for a while. For a while, I went in just a half hour early, and I got so much stuff. Because like they turned the phones on at 8. I used to work in insurance education, and I was like, okay, the main office comes in at 8 o'clock. If I get in at 7:15, 7:30, I got a whole half an hour, 45 minutes to get all this stuff I really want to get done just really quick before the phone calls start. Smart idea. Smartest idea I ever did. I loved it.
Yeah. See, that's an excellent example of how sometimes you just need 30 uninterrupted minutes of focused work, and you'll be so surprised at how far you'll get with whatever is on your agenda.
And it's also about paying attention.
Rather than dealing with the distractions and trying to work, because that just slows you down. It's like molasses.
Exactly. And also paying attention to your workday, how it goes, because I knew 8 o'clock came, at 8:05, my boss was going to call to check in. She liked the morning check-in, and just talk about the day, tell you what's going on, what she wants to work on. Sometimes that call can go for 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it can go on for an hour, you know. But she's the boss, and she wants to talk to you. And so I used to hate being in the middle of a project that she would call. Then I felt disjointed and like I can't, you know, I forgot what I was doing. So now I'm ready for her to call if she calls, no matter how long the conversation is going to be. And I was kind of like, but I was paying attention to my surroundings also, and kind of paying attention to how the day kind of goes. Kind of helped me.
Right. Good plan.
Yeah,
Good plan. You must be an organizer or something.
Now, talking about organizing, I did fall into organizing. I'm one who fell into it. So I didn't even know it was a business. So it was kind of one of those. But now I look back at it, it was a calling. I look back at it now, but I kind of fell into it. But yes, I'm an organizer. I've always been an organized person. I realize now. And I want to give a shout out to my stepmom, Dorian, who taught me. She ran the house. She used to have the day planners, which I still have one. And she had those giant calendars on the wall, and she had it down. She taught me all I kind of know about organization, so I give a shout out to her. But yeah, so you know, because some people, why I'm emphasizing this is because I always get these questions from mothers who go, well, I have 2 kids under the age of 5, and you know, and it's like, first of all, I would say there's no excuses. Everybody can do this. You just gotta figure it out, or get help from an organizer to help you out. But that's why I'm kind of emphasizing this kind of distraction thing, because I want to make sure it gets to people that when they hear this, there are ways to do this. We know it's not perfect, and if your kid needs you, obviously. But there are ways to kind of at least set it up so that it can work correctly. Correct?
Right. Exactly. You just need to find what works for you and your schedule. Exactly.
Now, do you work with a lot of home-based business people, or do you work more with small business or corporate?
I do. Not so much large corporations, but smaller businesses and home-based businesses. Yes.
Now, small business, let's get into that a little bit, because that's almost a similar thing kind of to home-based. It could be home-based, it could be in an office, but the premise is still the same. It's you. And maybe a few employees, right?
Right.
And
exactly. And maybe the help needs to be given to the number of employees that they may have, or the entrepreneur, the business owner.
We have a problem sometimes with, as entrepreneurs, when you first start, you're setting everything up. You're wearing all the hats. You're doing everything. That's just natural when you start a business a lot of times. Unless you have a partner and they're doing stuff with you. But a lot of times, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're working it out yourself. You're figuring everything out. So once you get the business started, what are some tips that you find that are great for, especially solo entrepreneurs who are the heads of their small business?
So I think because we have so much to do as solopreneurs, I think that there is the trend to multitask, because we think we want to do more, or we can do more when we multitask. And that is really, in my opinion, a misnomer. You really are not working on any multiple tasks efficiently or productively when you're doing more than one thing at a time. And you actually can't do more than one thing at a time. When it comes to cognitive work, it's impossible to work on 2 cognitive tasks at the same time. I mean, maybe walking and chewing gum, but to write an email and to talk on the phone, you really can't do it. What you're doing is you're switching between the 2 tasks. And people think that they're multitasking, when in fact they're really not doing either task to 100% focus or efficacy. So I think that is something that I like to stress with a lot of people that are starting off their business. They are frazzled, burning the candle at both ends, and they feel the need to do multiple tasks. So I try to let folks know that that's not really the most efficient way to work, because you are stopping and starting tasks that require different cognitive skills, and that actually slows you down. So what I do recommend is task batching, grouping your tasks together, as you mentioned earlier, doing all of your emails together, doing all your data entry together, all your phone calls together. You get yourself in a rhythm and a mindset that actually can get you some momentum, and you kind of blow through those tasks a lot faster when you group them in batches, rather than try to jump from each one of those tasks to each other and then deal with an interruption, deal with a distraction, and then, rinse and repeat.
Yes.
So that's something I see a lot of folks try to do, even though they know that they may even admit that they know perfectly well that it's not an effective way to work, but for some reason they just can't break themselves of that habit.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because as myself, as you know, and people who follow me know, I'm a multi-hyphenate myself. But I tell people all the time, I set times up for stuff. I'm a big believer in 2-hour blocks, hour blocks, and working only on that. When I'm writing my book, I am writing my book. That's it. When I'm working on a song, I'm in the studio working on those songs. That's it. When I'm life coaching, everything I do is specifically timed out. Because I found that took me, the timeout thing came to me a couple of years ago. From listening to other organizers, and I've been reading a lot about recently people saying that there's no such thing as multitasking anymore. I'm glad it's starting to come out now. People are saying that more and more. There's no real true multitasking that's productive. So it's funny you just said that. I'm reading more and more about that.
Right. It's actually task switching. They're calling it task switching. We call it multitasking, but really what's happening is that you're just switching from these two tasks very quickly. So you think you're doing two things at the same time when you're essentially not.
Right. It's just and sometimes, like you said, you just said something where it's not 100%. That's true, because I have found mistakes, and just back in the day when I did do two things at once, that I made a mistake in this one thing, and the other thing was kind of half done itself too. It's like nothing was really full up to par of what I could possibly give them for real if I just focused on the one thing. That's what led me to the whole, let's just time things out and actually schedule blocks of time. I schedule a block of time during the day. Sometimes I work from home to go in the garden. Okay, time to go in the garden for an hour. And I go in the garden for an hour. People laugh at me, so I'm like, but no, seriously, I will schedule time off for myself sometimes in the middle of the day. Because for some reason I see it scheduled. I'm very visual, so I see it scheduled. It just kind of makes me go, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. And it just seems to work.
Yeah, well, and that's a discipline that you've set up for yourself. And that's a habit that sometimes for some folks is really hard to get. And that's why we sometimes need to go back and work with folks over periods of time just to kind of help them maintain some of the skills we've, tried to implement with them, just to make sure that they're still on track.
Do you find, in your practice, especially with small business entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, do they make the habits quickly, or do you see it takes a while, or is it just wildly unique to each person?
Yeah, I would say all of the above.
Okay, that's honest.
But,
okay, yeah.
But you know what I do see most frequently is that they get excited about the change and the implementation of systems in the beginning. It's like a new toy, and they're very excited about it and are pretty hyper-focused and will work it. Then they might have a setback simply because of something as simple as going away on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly they're inundated, right? Well, we all do.
Yeah, right.
We're inundated with voicemails and mail, and we're just suddenly in catch-up mode. And then that's when they might need to sort of hit the reset button and get back on track. But that's sometimes, they do fall off the wagon. But that's why we're always still here. And I think it's important to have those long-term relationships with your clients.
Yeah, it's very true. And I don't do as much organizing anymore, physical organizing, because I'm more into the media. I moved to the media stuff now. But I do have 3 clients still that are. I mean, we're talking 4 years, 3 years, and the other one maybe 6 years. And I'm not with them as frequent as I used to be, obviously, anymore. But I like having my hands still in it a little bit. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this, but I mean, it's been kind of fun to, my day is busy with, TV appearances and bookings and all that stuff, and then I get to go and organize for 4 hours in a closet, and I love that. I still love that feeling. I love that feeling of working with them and figuring out a solution. One of my clients, we had a great time figuring out her pantry, and I forgot how much I enjoy this part of the business. Just once you have the business stuff out the way and just do actual organizing, I love it. And we figured out a whole thing for her, and she was excited, and I was excited. Everybody was excited, and I was high, off the natural high for the rest of the day because I accomplished something with. As I always say, I work with my clients, not for them. We accomplished something together, and it was great. And now it's worked better for her and her kids, and it kind of keeps me still, in the trenches a little bit out there doing it. I just loved it. It's just kind of because I don't get to do this much anymore, and I do like it.
Yeah, it's very gratifying because you can see results right away. With some clients, you can see changes happen after one appointment in terms of, say a before and after. Just working like you said on a pantry, you can really see some visible changes, and that's always gratifying.
So with solo entrepreneurs and home-based business especially, I just want to get your feelings on this. How do you set hours? Like, what do you tell your clients how, every business is different, but there's a tendency to work 24/7 just because you can, because it's at home, or it's you. What are some of your thoughts on kind of curbing that?
Right. Well, and that's a discipline issue too. I had a client that was fielding phone calls well after 7 p.m. from a client, and when you create that sort of environment, they will continue to call you at that hour. So it's a question of setting up limitations and parameters and expectations with who you work with, for yourself and for the people that you work with. And that really is a discipline issue. So it's really just getting into the habit of saying to yourself, I'm going to work until 6. Any phone calls will be taken anytime after that. And you can let anybody that reaches out to you, you can let them know that in advance.
Yes.
Your voicemail message can simply say, my voicemail message says that I'll get back to you within 1 business day. And that sort of sets the expectation that I'm not going to call you back right away. I'm not going to drop what I'm doing to call you back right away. I'll have 24 hours and I'll get back to you. But you certainly may hear from me sooner. And when it comes to returning those phone calls or answering those texts after hours, if you respond, they will expect. So I do think it's important that if it's important to you to have family time, that you need to have the will to set up those disciplines in advance. And that really takes practice, because that's business. As a solopreneur,
yes,
we're putting off business. And they could maybe get our business from someone else that might call them sooner.
Right.
But it's a question of priorities. What is most important to you right now? Yes, the success of your business is essential, but is family time really what's most important? Mm-hmm. I'm realizing that now because, I've got 2 kids, and the last one is he's heading off to college. So every minute that I have with him before he leaves is very important. Mm-hmm. And it's just a question of setting priorities and intention. And like you started your show with gratitude. Gratitude that you have the business, and, the grace to, put something off when a priority is in front of you.
Mm-hmm. So true. Everything you just said, I love that you said that, because it's true. Because like I said, we get into this habit of, well, oh my God, what if I don't get that? But it's like, here's the deal, folks. You can even you could take that phone call and not get the business yet. There are people, because it's personal stuff, they may say they're not ready for you just yet. And then 3 months later call you. So when you think they call that night, or you don't, and if you lose a client, you lose a client. Like, it's just, to me, it's kind of like there's still more coming in. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket for that one client, on the hope of that one client coming to you. And I know it's tough. Trust me. I know it's when you start your business, you want to be successful, you want stuff kind of, but you have to kind of change. I guess kind of what you're saying too, Sandra, change the mindset. Your mindset has to change a little bit and kind of go, okay, trust that you will do the hard work to gain clients, and then clients will come, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's that faith.
And that's a part of life. Yeah, setting up those priorities of what's most important to you. How do you want to live your life?
We have a term in LA where people, I always tell people all the time, I'm hungry, not thirsty. That's actually what I made up, something I made up. Just from other terms in LA here, people being thirsty, people being hungry. And, I work in Hollywood, so everybody's thirsty. But people meet me and they're like, just you're so calm, or you're so that you don't seem like you're doing stuff and you're busy and everything, but you seem so okay. And I go, because I'm not thirsty. I'm not starving for a glass of water. I'm not, crawling on the ground trying to get to a water well. I get how business works. And I have faith that it will work out, because I am always working on my business somehow. I'm always working on the marketing or whatever. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I have to believe in the process that it will come. So I'm hungry because I want business and I want opportunities, and that's where the hunger comes from. But I'm not so thirsty that I'm globbing onto whatever comes my direction or might come my direction, that I wake up and, again, my grandson will be 18 years old and I wouldn't ever see him, or my granddaughter's recital, I couldn't go. Like, I don't want to miss those things. I don't want to miss that. My mom's aging, may need me for something. There are things that are going on in my life that are very important, and in some ways more important than my business, in my my own opinion. So I want to be able to work it all out, so I have all of it. I can have the business and the personal life.
Right. I like that, James. That's very well put. Thank you.
It's hard. I'm telling you out there. We're not saying it's easy, but like she just said, it's just putting it into practice. And now they always say, and I want your opinion on this. Sometimes they say it takes 90 days to create a habit. Some say it takes 7 times. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on the kind of the mindset change and habit forming?
Right. Yeah. So I've heard the range, just like you.
Okay.
I haven't heard 7 times. That seems really.
Here's one for you.
7 times.
They say, and I forgot which business thing model I was in, but they said sometimes it takes 7 times to do something in a row that it becomes ingrained in your brain. It's off that whole thing of sometimes it takes 7 times to contact someone. If they don't reach them, it may take 7 times to reach them sometimes. This whole kind of thought of that you have to kind of do it 7 times, and then the success will come to you or begin to happen. Some weird one I heard at some business meeting I heard years ago.
Wow, that's persistent, especially if you're in sales.
Yes, and
like 7 times.
that's probably where I heard it, was in relation to that. I can always forget where exactly I heard it, but I heard it 7 times. It's like sometimes it takes 7 times to actually stick in someone's brain. You meet them 7 times. There's this whole thing. I don't know. But I've heard 90 days, 3 months, 90 days, and 6. I've heard all kinds of you do it enough and then it hits you.
Right. I've heard the range of 21 days to 90 days.
Okay.
Well, and you would certainly think by the time you get to 90 days that it'll certainly be a habit. And
right. You would hope so, right?
Yeah, I would hope so.
You would hope so, yes.
Absolutely hope so.
What are some of the so you don't do so much corporate, but home-based and solopreneur, I mean, that's just kind of, again, they're very personal businesses. And what are some words of wisdom? Because you've given us some good words of wisdom today so far, but what are some words of wisdom you like to kind of impart on people who are trying to make it for themselves in this business in terms of productivity? What are a couple of things you could say to people?
Well, I think setting your intentions for the day the night before is really helpful in terms of just wrapping your mind around what you're going to do, what you plan to do, and making sure that those intentions are not overly optimistic. I think there's a lot of people that set up their to-do lists with 15 items on their list, and in fact, realistically, if you get 3 to 4 things done and anything else is a bonus, should be enough. So using the night before to really plan out your day and set those intentions and focus on the priorities for that particular day and cut out those distractions so that you can stay focused on those priorities. I think it's important to have a clear workspace wherever it is that you're working, your desk or your files or office. That excess clutter is a visual distraction. You know, when we're talking about variety of distractions, and that can be a visual distraction that can really interrupt your productivity. So I think clear workspace to get your work done. And then make some time to take a break every now and then. I think it's important if you're using your timer, like you said, go out in the garden, go out for a quick little walk, get that fresh air that you need, and then just revisit your workspace and your agenda again so you can continue to do what you need to do that's most important for that day.
One thing I also want to bring up too, curious what your thoughts are on about how many clients, I know everybody's doing pacing, do you think you should probably, is that important to not have too many clients where you're going crazy? In life coaching, they always say to us, you probably should have more than 6 or 7 at any given time. Like if one rotates out, you rotate one in. It's like you keep kind of going. And for life coaching, I tend to believe that because we do a lot of brain work there, and it's like a whole different process. In organizing, I tried myself to keep it to about, I think I had about 6 or 7 at any given time. And of course, some jobs ended. You know, you were there for a specific time, or some were one-offs. But what do you think about that kind of the placing of clients and clientele?
Yeah, if you're a solopreneur, we're saying that, you know, you work for yourself only. You don't have other people that are working with your clients.
Yes.
That's a nice number. I think that's a nice number.
Okay.
I recall listening to a webinar or going to a conference session, and I think it was Barry Isaac that might have said, you know, 20 hours of actual work with a client a week is really all you need, because there's so much that goes into the work with your clients that 20 hours is plenty. And the other hours of the week are spent working your business, doing all the things that we have talked about in terms of being a solopreneur. When it comes to organizing, you give so much of yourself, physically and mentally, in your client work that really 20 hours of work, however that's spread out, however that for a client, is really realistic in terms of, you know, staying in this business long term.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm like, it's just that it's pacing. You don't burn yourself out. When I first started, I made that mistake. I have no problem admitting this. I made the mistake going, well, I started booking 6-hour sessions, 8-hour sessions with one client. And by hour 4 or 5, I'm like worn out. I'm like, this is, but I committed to another like 4 hours or 3 hours. Like, this is crazy. So I've finessed it. I've learned, 2 hours here, 3, depending on the job, of course, 3 hours here. So the 20 hours, that sounds about right. If you did 2 or 3 hour sessions per person, that's like 5 or 6 people. I mean, like it does work out that way, I guess. I mean, it's
right.
It does work that out.
I know. When I have a 20-hour week, I am ripped by the end of the week.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking 20 hours is the max of physical work with clients. Yeah, I'm pretty wiped.
I bet people don't understand. I'm like, clothes are heavy, and books and papers are heavy, and and just the mental brain power to figure things out. So we are using our brains to figure stuff out, and a lot of times a lot of talking. You're talking with your clients. You're figuring things out. Sometimes clients change their mind last minute, or want to do it this way, or some clients have a block, and you're working them. You're trying to help them work out that block. Or you're having a really great day, and you're all in, and you're doing it, but it's tiring work. It's part manual labor and part brain power, and it's all comes together, and it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is, but it's very rewarding, and I'm happy to be able to say that I can do it.
You know, I love this business, and I say it on a show all the time too. I've been accused of being a Pollyanna of sorts, but I like being nice, and I think people should be nice, and that should be the norm. And I really am. I feel like this business, because it's funny, because I work in Hollywood, and I talk about soaps, things like that. People know me as the super organizer, because for years, that's what I was for the last 10 years. But like, I've brought that in to that world. People know I'm an organizer. I have guests on my shows like, I could use you. Actually, a really big soap actor, his wife's a professional organizer in LA. And we were on Twitter. He's like, wait a minute, you're a professional organizer? I was talking to him about an appearance on my TV show for General Hospital. And he's like, wait a minute, my wife's a professional organizer. Oh my God. And so, so it's a conversation piece that goes everywhere. And I've been very fortunate to be able to go around and talk about organizing even in my other worlds. And I've gained people I have fans who now listen to these shows or read my blog and I love this business so much. And I sound like a goody two shoes or whatever, but I just think this business is we're doing God's work. We're helping people. We are affecting change people's lives. And I love our organizers. I think it's such a beautiful business that I feel like people are called to it, and that's why we do it. So I
agree. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that enjoy organizing, but having it as a business is definitely a calling. And I like to refer to my business. You know, when I first started it, I thought, this will be a nice little hobby to sort of fill my day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's turned into a real live business that is really more of a ministry. And I'm so happy to be able to say that I can do that.
Well, I'm happy to say that I talked to the president of the Pittsburgh chapter of the new NAPO, which is, I'm going to say this again, National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, Ms. Sandra Lane.
So we'll have to say that at least 21 days to make sure that we get it.
Exactly. I'm going to say it 7 times. I'm going to get it 7 times, girl. I'm going to get it 7 times. No. Okay, so first of all, tell people where they can find you, your chapter online, and there's Facebook pages and stuff. I want you to tell people where they can find you.
Sure. Me personally?
Yes, your home. Give me your home phone number and home address. No. Actually, tell us. Tell us how they can find the chapter, one, and then also how they can find your business online.
Sure. Well, our NAPO Pittsburgh chapter can be found on the web at www.napopittsburgh.org. And we also have a Facebook page, NAPO Pittsburgh. And my company name is Organization Lane, all one word. And you can find me on the web at organizationlane.com.
Yep.
I also have a Facebook page under the same name, as well as a Twitter page at Sandra Organized, and a Pinterest page, Organize Lane.
Very good.
And my phone number is 412-841-7169.
There you go, kids. You need her. She's here. She is ready for hire, or she's ready to lead you to somebody. If she can, she'll lead you to somebody. She's in there, and I appreciate and living gratitude of your time with me today.
Thank you, James. The feeling is mutual.
Now, you guys, so you can follow our stuff. The SOS Show with James Lott Jr. is on iHeartRadio. We are on iTunes. We are on Spreaker.com. You can find us there. You can download and hear our lovely voices. And here you can hear in your car, your tablet, works on the phone, works everywhere. And do that. Now, also, we have a Facebook page, The SOS Show. You can go there for all kinds of news. These links are also posted on there. I usually tell people a little bit about the people on my shows. I believe I put your page on shared your page on our show page. So you go there, and if I didn't, I'll make sure I do it again. So it'll be on there. And also on Twitter, we are at the SOS_show, because someone has SOS Show. I don't know who they are, they're not even using it, and I'm upset. Dang it, I want it. They took it, they're not even using it. I think like 2 members they have on there, followers, that's it. I'm like, this is crazy talk. But we're the SOS_show, and I post links there, and and we're on there also. And of course, you can find me and all the things that I do at James Lott Jr. all over the internet. Just go type in James Lott Jr., where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold. I am there. I will pop up on your tablet. I will pop up on your phone, your laptop, your TV, whatever. I am there. Again, my songs are out on iTunes and Google. My books are on Amazon.com. I just released a new book today called Good Morning. It's a short story book. So there's 4 of my books are on Amazon.com right now. Just type in James Lott Jr. and they'll pop up. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. My live from Pittsburgh. This is my last live from Pittsburgh until I come back again. And I just live in gratitude every day that I have this radio show almost 3 years running. I've done over 200 episodes of this, and I just love doing this show so much. And I'll continue to bring you more interesting organizers as we continue the rest of this year. Take care, everyone.